Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming General Milley to the stage.
So I'll go ahead and say it. Go Air Force, beat Army. Who? How about go Air Force, beat Navy? How about go Air Force, beat everybody? Hey, what a great day it is, huh? To be here at 6,600 feet altitude and barely can breathe. It's awesome. I'm just a ground pounder. Hey, look it. Thank you for having me out here as the keynote speaker. I appreciate it. It's deeply humbling, and it's an honor and a privilege. You know, I've spent over 40 years now in uniform in peace and war, a lot of different firefights, etc. And I will tell you that I've got a reasonable amount of experience getting shot at. And there is no greater Air Force on earth than the United States Air Force. It is you, the reason that I am alive. It is you, the reason that so many other United States Army infantry and special forces are alive today. It's because we had pilots of enormous courage who went through thick or thin when we called in close air support and we said, mark my pause, purple smoke, 200 meters due north. And you rolled in, and all we cared about was steel on target. We didn't care about the color of your uniform. We're a joint force, one team, one fight, every day, all day, day and night. And the enemy should never forget it. I want to thank Secretary Roth for being here today, and I appreciate his leadership. And also, I want to thank the next chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. It's going to be either Brown or Raymond. Take your pick, Space or Air Force. Who are we going to vote for, Brown? Raymond? How about the SEAC? Colon Lopez, United States Air Force. Check him out. Bad to the bone. He's got a lot of time on the X as a PJ, and one of the bravest, finest soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines that I've ever met in my entire life. So I want to thank all three of those great Air Force leaders and their spouses for being here. Shireen, thank you for your leadership. We couldn't do it without you. I know CQ feels the same way. CQ told me that he did not play varsity football here, but he did tell me to take a look at this guy right out here. Why don't you take a stand up there, young man? This guy's going to the NFL. Check him out. And Raymond told me he was too scared to play football. I don't know. But his wife is here, and she's the one who gives him all the courage, and I want to thank you for being here as well, Molly, because I know that Jay couldn't do it without you. And the one guy who did play football right here is Rich Clark, and he was a nose guard in the class of '86, and you have a great superintendent out here. And he's greater still because of his wonderful wife, Amy. So Amy, like all spouses, thank you for being here. Thank you for your support to Rich over the years. Thank you for supporting this academy. And I also want to thank my spouse, Holly Ann, for being here, because I couldn't be here without the Air Force, and I damn sure couldn't be here without her. So thank you, Holly Ann, for representing all our families. And how about everybody give a huge round of applause to the class of '21. And for the class of 21, how about get on your feet, do an about face, and give a round of applause to your families, because you wouldn't be here without them. Check it out. Look at all those fathers and mothers, grandparents and aunts and brothers and sisters and wives. None of you could be here today without them. And that second lieutenant's bar is as much owned by them as it is by you. So thank you. Go ahead and grab your seats there, cadets, or this will take 3 hours. You know, to complete the Air Force Academy takes a tremendous amount of grit, and you've each demonstrated extraordinary hard work and dedication. And some of you have taken a little bit of extra time to get here. In fact, 150 of you have looked forward to this day for 5 years. So let's hear it for all the 5-year grads. And 61 of you came up through the ranks from enlisted to the Air Force Academy. Some of you have completed combat tours, so thank you. Together, you are the 63rd class to graduate from this institution that has produced leaders of character from its very inception. Academy alumni include general officers, prisoners of war, combat aces, medals of honor recipients, and astronauts. But most, the vast majority, have been quiet, unknown heroes who met moments of adversity with calm and clarity in the face of mortal danger. Airmen are going to trust you to be their leader, to guide them through uncertainty and change in the years ahead. Despite the unrelenting obstacles, you have not faltered and you have not failed in your 4 years here, especially in a very difficult last year. Your class has earned your motto over and over again: Nolite dubitare, nolite timare. And every one of you knows that that means no doubt, no fear. No matter how high the valley, no matter how high the mountain, no matter how strong the tide against you, you all rise together. Your first moments together on the 6 weeks of the assault course at Jacks Valley, recognition, run to the rock, physics 215, countless formations, early morning GRs, and late nights at HAPS. Commitment and the exemplar dinner, the ring dance, and the hundreds night. And of course, cheering on your beloved Air Force Falcons as they beat Army and singing the third verse together, no matter the outcome of the game. You have learned as a group that you are stronger together. Unbreakable bonds have been forged here. For each and every one of you, the decision to attend this academy was not one that you took lightly. In fact, most of you were only 17 or 18 years old at the time, and it was the biggest decision you'd ever make. And it may, in fact, still be the biggest decision you will ever make. And your commitment is not to a job, but it's to a calling, a way of life. Your parents see their sons and daughters on the field before you, but your nation sees lieutenants, sees airmen, sees space guardians who will lead our Air Force and our Space Force as pilots and navigators, engineers, intelligence officers, special tactics, and combat rescue officers, each one critical to the Joint Force mission. all 1,019 of you in both the Air Force and Space Force, and the 4 that are commissioning into the Navy, the 5 into the Marine Corps, and the 3 into the Army. Every one of you have already embraced what it means to be joint, to train as Air Force officers and serve in different branches. You're all part of one united team. And it's truly, for me, profound to see you all here today on your last day as cadets and your first day as lieutenants. And that's because 1,427 days ago, you were all strangers to each other. But today, you crossed the finish line together as one. You represent the quality that gives America its unique strength, what makes us undaunted by the difficult and motivated by the so-called impossible. The strength of our nation, this experiment in liberty, is captured in another simple Latin phrase, e pluribus unum. Out of the many, come one. You, all of you together are a living example. You are breathing evidence of this motto of our country. Represented in this graduating student body are, in fact, 15 other countries and all 50 of our United States. You bring a rich diversity of culture, perspective, and ideas from every corner of the world. But what unites you is the thought and action and your shared desire, your commitment to sacrifice, to serve causes greater than yourselves. Each of you embody this institution's core principles of integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all you do. And that reminds me, however, that some of your teammates perhaps have made some mistakes. And I am sure you will let them know what I'm about to say for the lower classes. I just got off the phone a few minutes ago with the President of the United States. And by the powers invested in me by Congress and at the direction of the President of the United States, in coordination with the Superintendent and the Commandant of Cadets, I hereby waive the execution of any confinement resulting from any category or lower cadet disciplinary system violation. You are now free. Amnesty is imposed. Amnesty for all confinement and restriction applies to any violation that occurred during the academic year or not, and beginning at today's ceremony. So you're all free. But I caution you, that's a one-time thing. And those standards and values were forged, as you know, in the crucible of wars that just preceded the founding of the Air Force Academy in 1954. Our country was, in fact, in the beginning of the Cold War, following the World Wars and the Korean War. Just 40 years prior to the founding of this school, the same amount of time that I've been in uniform, in the summer of 1914, a pistol shot in Sarajevo cast the world into the cataclysm of deadly global conflict, unleashing destruction on a scale yet unseen by humanity, and setting conditions for a second World War only 20 years later, the bloodiest war in all of recorded history. In fact, between 1914 and 1945, the First and Second World Wars laid waste to countries everywhere, and 150 million people were killed in the most violent 3 decades ever recorded. To give us a sense of what great power war means, consider that 26,000 U.S. soldiers and Marines were killed in 6 weeks from October to November of 1918 in the Battle of the Meuse-Argonne in World War I. Consider that 26,000 U.S. troops were killed in the 8 weeks from the beaches of Normandy to the fall of Paris. At the same time, 18,000 Americans were killed in the Central Pacific in the Marianas Campaign, where my father served. In the South Pacific, in China, Burma, India, and Italy, in that fateful summer of 1944. 58,000 Americans killed in action, in the air, at sea, and on land, in 5 theaters of war in only 8 weeks. That is the human cost of great power war, just 10 years before the birth of this academy. At the end of World War II, the leaders of 1945 designed our current rules-based international global order. And there have been a lot of wars since 1945, each with a significant loss of life. But there has not been a great power war. We are now in the 76th year of the great power peace following World War II. And the structure is under stress. We can see it fraying at the edge. And with history as our guide, we would be wise to lift our gaze from the never-ending urgency of the present and set the conditions for a future that prevents great power war. Right now, we're in a great power competition with China and Russia, and we need to keep it at competition and avoid great power conflict. Each of you are going to play an important role in keeping the peace. You can expect to be at the edge many, many times, to make hard choices with imperfect information. But you're going to have to keep your guard up against the enduring nature of evolving security challenges. Each and every one of you are going to be fundamental to our nation's defense in the years to come. And it will be you that leads our country safely through the next 20 years. And you are well equipped to meet these challenges. You are graduates of an institution that has instilled integrity first and service before self and excellence in all you do. You follow the Academy's honor code. You have gathered informations on Terrazzo and each September to observe the next of kin memorial for your classmates and alumni who are no longer with us. Countless times you've passed a memorial wall where 186 names are inscribed, the names of Academy graduates who sacrificed their lives in defense of this nation. This is the essence of the long blue line. You are connected to them, to each other, and to all who have come before you and all who will follow you. Your willingness and readiness to serve and to sacrifice when called upon. When America has faced dark days and challenging times, it's always been Air Force Academy graduates that have stood ready to answer the call. For nearly 2 continuous decades, our country has fought terrorism in the Middle East and elsewhere. 22 Academy graduates have sacrificed their lives in the cause to defend America. This fundamental principle, selfless service, has propelled this institution to uncharted territories and to new frontiers. On May 28, 1980, the same time I was commissioned, 97 women made history as the first female graduates of the United States Air Force Academy. And since then, over 6,300 women have graduated from this school, and today we add 288 more. And as an example of the character that this academy produces, we need look no further than Lieutenant Leroy Homer. He tossed his hat up here in Falcon Stadium on May 27th, 1987, 1 year after your superintendent graduated. Leroy Homer grew up in Long Island, where he dreamed of becoming a pilot. He flew combat support missions in the Gulf War and in Somalia. And after his time in active duty, he served as an Academy liaison officer and as a reservist, while he continued his career in aviation with United Airlines. As the co-pilot of United Flight 93, Captain Jason Dahl and First Officer Homer, almost 20 years ago, took off at 0842 in the morning from Newark Airport en route to San Francisco. Just as Flight 93 stabilized at cruising altitude, both the north and south towers of the World Trade Center had been struck. Shortly thereafter, another plane impacted the Pentagon at 9:37. And it was during these exact moments that Leroy Homer, along with 30 passengers and 6 other crew members, came together and fought to seize control of their aircraft from 4 terrorist hijackers. Realizing they would not be able to make their intended target, widely believed to have been the White House or the U.S. Capitol, the terrorists drove Flight 93 into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The innocent ranged in age from 20 to 79 years old. Leroy was just 36 years old. Flight 93 was the only hijacked aircraft that was able to transmit a Mayday call that day. And on the cockpit recorder, one voice is heard, clear and steady, directing, "Get back, get out of here," as he yelled to the terrorists. This voice was identified as Leroy Homer. Disregarding his own safety, he did everything in his power to protect the aircraft for the sake of the passengers. Service before self. Look back and see the pioneers who came before you and study them, because no less is going to be asked of you. Revolutionary change is going to occur while you are in service. And right now, at this very moment, right now as you sit here in Colorado Springs, a fundamental change in the character of war is underway. But this has happened before with your class exemplar, Robbie Reisner. Himself experienced such revolutionary change. He was born in 1925 after the United States learned the painful lessons of World War I, where we faced machine guns with horse-mounted cavalry, and we suffered losses and tolls of unspoken viciousness in trench warfare. Just 2 decades later, the training, weapons, tactics, and the doctrine of war were transformed. And gone were the days of trench warfare. A young Robbie Reisner earned his wings in 1944 and flew over 100 missions in Korea, shot down in Vietnam, and, as already mentioned, endured the horrible pain of being a prisoner of war for 7 years, 4 months, and 27 days. After his return from Vietnam, he flew the F-111. This plane could travel at a speed of 1,650 miles an hour, 4 times as fast as the plane he had flown as a student pilot, the P-40, which clocked in at a top speed of only 360 miles an hour. In Reisner's 30-year career, planes had become so fast they broke the sound barrier. In his lifetime, we went from running bayonets across fields in Europe to a world that looked unrecognizable by the time of his retirement in 1973. In that half century, we witnessed the development of the airplane as a weapon of war, connected by wireless communications of the radio. We fielded the radar and introduced mechanized vehicles and jets and precision munitions and, of course, nuclear weapons. But Reisner had one thing that you will not have, and that is time. You will likely have very little time to correct the mistakes that my generation has made. You're not going to have any time to evolve and adapt to defeat our enemies. We live in an age of technological development, scale, and scope, unlike what Reisner saw. You live in an age of artificial intelligence, robotics, human engineering, hypersonics, long-range precision fires, where we can now see and strike targets at ranges that have never existed before in human history. And the country that masters these technologies, combines them with doctrine, and develops the leadership to take advantage of it, the side that does that best is going to have a decisive advantage at the start of the next war. And it's your challenge to be that side. You will lead us as a nation, not just as an Air Force or a Space Force. 20 years from now, in 2041, many of you are going to be at the helm of our joint force as colonels and brigadier generals. 40 years from now, in 2061, one of you is going to be the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. One of you will be Chief of Staff of the Air Force. But don't wait. Don't wait until then to be bold. Innovate now. Challenge yourselves to meet the threats that loom on a faraway horizon. And remember to be vigilant. Always be ready. Always be ready to deter great power war and maintain the great power peace. And you do that by being prepared to win. To quote our first President, George Washington, to be prepared for war is the best way of preserving the peace. Deterrence is tied to real capability. There is no Memorex in deterrence. It has to be real. When your enemy calculates that the cost of military aggression exceeds the benefit, then deterrence will be established. And you, the members of the Air Force, the members of the Space Force, are going to be key to our nation's deterrence. In addition to your innovation, your skill, your readiness, your competence, the real military capability that you're going to develop, you're also going to need something else. You're going to need incredible character in order to deter, and if deterrence fails, in order to win. And for this, look no further than your oath. Your oath that you're about to take is your North Star. It's your center line. It is that which you must attach to when you're the prisoner of war for 7 years. It's that you must attach to when the wounded are around you and screaming in pain at the middle of the night. It's your oath that keeps you grounded. Last night, you all swore an oath, and today you'll do that again, to protect an idea for which you are willing to suffer grievous wounds, to separate from your family and for unknown periods of time, to be tortured, and if necessary, to die. 186 Air Force Academy graduates, brothers and sisters in the long blue line, have done just that. They sacrificed all of their tomorrows for our todays. They laid their last full measure of devotion on the altar of freedom to protect the values enshrined in our Constitution. First Lieutenant Rosalind Schulte, class of 2008, on the roads of Kabul when her convoy was struck by an IED. Captain Matthew Rowland, class of 2010, in an ambush approaching Camp Antonik, Afghanistan. Captain Tyler Voss and Captain Tori Pickney, class of 2008, classmates in fact, in the foothills of Kyrgyzstan when their KC-135 crashed. These brave men and women, and many others who came before them, along with your oath, is the foundation of this school's legacy and the foundation of your future. You know, there's over 190 countries in the world that are in the United Nations. But it is we, the United States, we are the only one to have a military that swears an oath to an idea contained in a document. We don't swear an oath to a king, a queen, a tyrant, or a dictator. We don't swear an oath to a person, a tribe, a religion. No. We swear an oath to an idea. And if there's one message you remember from today, it's the message of your oath, the message for what we stand for, the message of why we fight. And embedded within the documents that we call the U.S. Constitution and the Declaration of Independence is the idea that is America. We came into being some 240 years ago and we were imperfect, and we still are. But it says right in the beginning of the Constitution, in order to form a more perfect union. And this idea in our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence is simple, but incredibly powerful. It's so powerful that the Nazis were deathly afraid of it. The communists feared it. The Soviet Union collapsed because of it. We defeated Imperial Japan because of it. The fascists in Italy and the terrorists of Al-Qaeda and ISIS, they hate it. They hate this idea. So what is this powerful idea? Well, look around you right now, and you can see the idea. You see the idea on the field. Just look to your left and to your right. And the idea is that every single one of you, it doesn't matter if you're male or you're female. It doesn't matter if you're gay or straight or transgender or something in between. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're white or black, Asian or Indian. It doesn't matter the color of your skin or what your ethnic group is. It doesn't matter if you're Catholic or you're Protestant, Muslim, Jew, or choose not to believe at all. None of that matters. It doesn't matter what your country of origin is or the spelling of your last name. None of that matters either. It doesn't matter if you're tall or short, rich or poor, famous or common. The idea that's in this document, the idea for which you are willing to die, the idea that's in this Constitution that's propelled us through our darkest days as a nation, all it says is that in this country, in these United States, under those colors of red, white, and blue, no matter who you are, every single one of us is an American, and every single one of us is born free and equal. And in this country, in your country, and in my country, you're going to rise or fall based on your knowledge, your skills, and your attributes. And you're going to be judged by the content of your character, not the color of your skin. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and all women are created equal, and they are endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights, and among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that is why this country exists. That is why we as a people are here. That is why I wear the uniform. That is why you are being commissioned. That is what you are committing yourself to. That is what you are all about. That is what guided Robbie Reisner through the vastness of the skies. That's what guided Leroy Homer and every other American who has sacrificed their last breath for this idea to survive. It is now for you to take that torch, to protect and defend the idea that is America and the idea for which you will fight. Graduates, we are all proud of you. You have difficult tasks and a heavy load in front of you, but may God bless you. Congratulations to you and your family, and God bless the United States of America.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Cadet Class President for 2021, Cadet First Class Matthew Vidikin. This summer, Cadet Wing Commander, Cadet First Class Rosalind Rotello. The fall Cadet Wing Commander, Cadet First Class Aramis Brown. And the spring Cadet Wing Commander, Cadet First Class Emily Barexa, will now present the class gifts to the chairman.
General Milley, for your dedicated service to our nation, to the United States Air Force, and to United States Air Force Academy, it is with great pride that today's graduating class designates you, by acclamation, an honorary member of the United States Air Force Academy's class of 2021.
Go Air Force, be Army.
As tangible evidence of that honor, we ask that you accept this painting by Rick Broom on behalf of the United States Air Force Academy. We also present you with our class coin as a token of our appreciation.